And welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Tuesday, August 16th. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories read here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com, and here are some of the news stories from the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. Michael Rahe, an associate professor of English and Native American Studies scholar at the University of California, Riverside, has been awarded a Fulbright Fellowship to study filmmaking and media of the Sami in Northern Europe. Rahe will conduct research at Norway's University of Tromsø, which houses a Center for Sami Studies among indigenous communities in the Sami homelands of Northern Europe. The Sami are one of the largest indigenous groups in Europe who live in an Arctic region that encompasses parts of northern Sweden, Norway, Finland, and the Kola Peninsula of Russia. Tromsø is the second largest city and urban area in Sapmi and hosts an annual Sami festival that features the work of artists throughout Sami land. This research will be incorporated into a new book project tentatively titled Visualizing Pedagogy, Transnational Indigenous Media and Representations of Education, which will examine global indigenous media in Northern Europe, North America, and Australia. Governor Danielle Malloy says the state needs to do more to help promote Connecticut's two Indian-run casinos. Malloy said in a tour of the Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods Resort casinos last week that the state has neglected its tourism funding in relationship with the state's tribes. He said the state will spend between $9 and $15 million in the next 2 years to promote Connecticut and help draw more tourists. In June, he kicked off a $2.6 million summer tourism campaign. The governor's casino visits were part of his visits to Connecticut businesses over the past few months to focus on job growth. Connecticut receives a portion of slot machine revenue from the two tribes. For the state's budget year that ended June 30th, 2010, Connecticut received $350 million from the two tribes. Las Vegas developer David Ginn plans to return to federal court to try to resolve a dispute over the Grand Canyon skywalk after a tribal judge dismissed a lawsuit he filed seeking to force arbitration. Wallaby Judge Ida Wilbur said in an order released earlier this month that she does not have jurisdiction over the case because tribal officials there, named as defendants, did not waive their sovereign immunity. Quote, a sovereign nation has the right and power to state when it may be and when it may not be free from interference and unconsented to litigation, Wilbur said. Wilbur's decision allows Ginn to return to federal court, where a judge ruled that he first must exhaust tribal court remedies. While the tribe did not agree to be sued in tribal court, it simply delays the inevitable because the contract with Ginn provides a limited waiver of sovereign immunity for mandatory arbitration in federal courts, Wilbur said. Ginn sued a business arm of the tribe earlier this year in an effort to recoup what he's owed for his $30 million investment into the skywalk, a horseshoe-shaped glass bridge that juts out about 70 feet from the Grand Canyon on the Wallaby Reservation. The chairman of the Blackfeet Nation has resigned about midway through his 2-year term, citing ongoing disputes with the tribe's governing body. Willy Sharp Jr. submitted his resignation last Friday because of a loss of confidence and ability in his official capacity to lead the tribe. Sharp told the Associated Press he and 9-member Blackfeet Tribal Business Council disagreed over hiring practices and the way contracts with non-Native American agencies are dealt with. He said he would continue to serve as a council member. Sharp was elected chairman in 2008, was re-elected in the summer of 2010. Council members serve staggered 4-year terms, but the council selects its 3 executive officers internally every 2 years. Sharp says he hopes his resignation will bring more unity to the council and give someone else a chance to be vocal. The Deputy Principal Chief of the Cherokee Nation has been sworn in as acting Principal Chief of the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma. Joe Crittenden took the oath of office this last Sunday, August 14th, at a ceremony in Tahlequah. Crittenden will be acting chief until the winner of next month's special election is chosen. Crittenden promised a seamless transition until then, saying he would work to ensure services to Cherokee members continue uninterrupted. The tribe's Supreme Court threw out the June 25th election results between incumbent Chad Smith and longtime councilmember Bill John Baker because the 5-justice panel couldn't determine with a mathematical certainty who had won the election. A new election for that position has been set for September 24th. The Chickasaw Nation and the Oklahoma Department of Tourism and Recreation have signed an agreement for the tribe to assume management and operations of the Boggy Depot State Park near Atoka. Tribal officials announced last week that Governor Bill Anotabi and Tourism and Recreation Director, Department Executive Director Debbie Snodgrass signed the agreement that goes into effect today. It allows park operations to continue while the state legislature works out details for long-term management of the park. Boggy Depot was one of 7 Oklahoma state parks slated to close because of budget cuts. Towns have stepped in some cases to keep several of the parks operating. And that's going to be the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to say thank you for joining with us and come back again soon.